to not die. This supposed hero actually claimed the Demon King was his dad. To prove they were legit related, he did this whole blood bonding thing. But the second the Demon King's blood hit the bowl, my dude froze. It was glowing like neon green. Then his own red blood dropped in, and the two colors just swirled together like magic. And the craziest part, the Demon King totally bought it. He was seriously wondering if the Demon King was colorblind or something. Then bam! The Demon King unalived him with this weirdly gentle slap while giving him a hug. Apparently that was the only way for the big bad guy to cash in on the quest reward. After that, he told his minions to bring the guy back to life using his own blood. I mean, the human's blood actually mixed with the Demon King's, so why not soaked in demon blood? He was respawned and got a new name 75. Cause that day was the Demon King's 75th straight win. The Demon King even made his second-in-command, Jiren Whiteyear, basically babysit his new son and handle his training. He was shook that the Demon King was actually treating him like family, even if he gave him such a lame name. And get this, Jiren White looked like a total smoke show, but she was literally a monster. But still, he was a firm believer that love could cross species. So, how's this training thing gonna work? He asked, super nervous. Jiren was all like, as the Demon King's kid, you've got to be almost as strong as him. Hearing that made 75's stomach drop. He was just a kid. How was he supposed to get that OP? Well, he found out pretty quick. The answer: fight the Demon King head on. One punch later, he was basically a science experiment. Then poof, revived. Before he could even breathe, he was dragged back to get torched by the Demon King's fire breath, revived again, and then yeeted into oblivion. This went on for 81 times before he finally snapped and screamed time out, begging Jiren Whiteyear to make it stop. He pleaded that he was going to totally lose it if this kept going. Then, blushing like crazy, he admitted he'd never even had a girl like him before. And plot twist, Jiren pulled him into a super tight hug. Lord 75, from now on I like you. I'm going to help you get stronger. So in the end, 75 scored 3 whole days of freedom before the Demon King's big pop quiz. To get stronger first, he had to become a hero. And the only requirement was super simple: take out one monster. Jiren sweetly picked out this tiny green pepper demon for him. But 75 totally froze up at the sight and just sent the little dude on his way. So then Jiren brought over a poison green elf. But seeing how sad the elf looked, 75 decided to save him instead. Jiren just sighed, saying the elf was a lost cause. Not even the Demon King could do anything for him. The only thing that could free him was, well, 75 just couldn't do it. The green elf actually spoke. I know this sucks for you, but don't feel bad. I'll finally be at peace. He said it was like falling asleep in Andy's arms. With tears streaming down his face, 75 covered the elf's mouth and ended it, his first kill. Finally, he was officially a hero, instantly leveling up to 5. Turns out the Demon King's place was crawling with hell-tier monsters, and that dying green elf was actually a high-level one. So 75 got a boatload of EXP, and his level just shot through the roof. He thought, at this level there's no way I can change my class. I just gotta survive the Demon King's test in 3 days. His only move was to grind more monsters and level up like crazy. But every monster Jiren Whiteyear brought out was way out of his league. So he begged her for some weaker mobs, confidently saying, I can totally take on the normal ones. So Jiren summoned 3 apple demons. When he saw them, he got this cocky look in his eye like, I'm not the same weakling I was before. He barely got the words out before one punch sent him flying. Yet, weirdly, he didn't feel a thing. Jiren guessed that maybe the Demon King's blood was finally kicking in. But then, the next second, the 3 apple demons started using him as a trampoline. He couldn't even picture surviving the Demon King's test in 3 days. He was totally losing hope. If only someone else was grinding nearby. He thought, I could just leech their EXP. Then lightbulb. A brilliant idea hit him. Hey, Jiren, isn't the Demon King fighting some other heroes tomorrow? Yep, a ton of heroes have been showing up lately. The boss is having the time of his life. Hearing that, he was totally pumped. Get me over there, right now! So while the other heroes were fighting for their lives, 75 was just chilling nearby like a total pro, shamelessly soaking up all the freebies. Since he was technically a hero, he got a cut of the EXP just for being in the area. His level started skyrocketing, and he hit level 6 in no time. The fights got more intense, the monsters got tougher, and the EXP got way bigger. By the end of the day, he'd hit the level cap. Normally that's the max, but his EXP bar just kept going up. System message: level cap, broken hell mode unlocked. At first, he just blew it off. The next second, kaboom, he just exploded. He was left standing there totally clueless. Another message popped up. Level reset to 1. What the heck, why'd my level reset? He screamed at Jiren. Just then, this massive black cannon aimed right at them, buzzing with power. The beam was just about to fire. Without even thinking, 75 dove in front of Jiren. She was shocked and yelled, You're scared to death, why are you protecting me? Since coming to this crappy place, he said. You're the only good thing that's happened. When I was at my lowest, you told me you liked me. My whole life, nobody's ever been nice to me, so if someone is, I'll protect them with everything I've got. The laser fired with a roar. When the smoke cleared, the blonde hero was turned to stone. But 75 was totally fine. Jiren White, so thankful for what he did, quickly opened a portal to get him out of there. Otherwise, once the Demon King was done with his fight, he'd have to off him all over again. But just then, another terrifying force hit the battlefield. The hands of Jiren Whiteear. Anyone they touched got zapped into a crystal statue just like that. Seeing it, 75 totally freaked. I mean, Jiren is basically the Demon King's number 2. The big boss usually keeps her on the sidelines. 'Cause she's so OP, she ends the party before he can even have his fun. But this time, Jiren felt like she'd gotten a major power-up. The Demon King felt it too. Not that it mattered to a guy who one-shots everything. Just then, some hero with a sword tried to sneak attack him. The Demon King just casually swatted him into a puddle of goo. He had this gut feeling this whole power surge was somehow connected to 75. In a flash, he was right in his face. "Pop quiz hotshot," he said all icy. "And if you die again, you're staying dead." 75 opened his mouth to talk back, but bam! The Demon King's punch landed like a freaking meteor. The ground totally exploded, leaving this massive crater. All you could see was one arm sticking out of the mess. The DK thought he'd wrecked him again until he saw his own hand was bleeding. From the pit, 75 climbed out, grinning like an idiot. "Guess I passed the test, huh?" Even though he was level 1 now, his body still had all that old strength plus the boost from the Demon King's blood. He was like a walking fortress, totally unbreakable with insane attack and defense. Just when he thought the Demon King was about to flip out again, the old dude just burst out laughing and grabbed him by the shoulders. 75 tensed up, thinking the guy was going to get payback for the scratch. "You little punk!" the Demon King roared. 75 swore he could see his ancestors waving at him from the great beyond. Then the Demon King tapped his chin with one claw. "You passed." And with that, he yeeted him straight into a teleportation circle. "Wait for me. We're getting dinner later," he ordered. And for real, after the battle, the Demon King was true to his word. They chowed down together. 75 was inhaling the feast, shocked at how amazing everything tasted. The food, it turned out, was his reward from the boss, kinda like how heroes get loot drops after a win. 75 figured the Demon King was just training him to fight heroes so he could kick back and relax. The Demon King didn't deny it. But that was only like half the story. He actually had another mission for 75: ditch the Demon Manor, travel to the continent of Mara, and find a library there to dig up info about the gods. "This world," the Demon King said kinda quiet, "was built by the creator himself. And believe it or not, I used to be cool with being part of his whole design. But everything changed when he met this one hero." The guy said, "We heroes might not be a match for you, but one day even you could get deleted by the gods." That's when it finally hit the Demon King that tons of monsters like him had already been quietly wiped from existence by the gods. The gods were basically rebooting the world. Everything in the Demon Manor could just vanish poof, even Jiren White. Ever since then, he'd been grilling every hero he defeated for intel, and he learned that the Library of Mara might be the only place with a cheat code to escape his fate. But as a monster, he was literally trapped in the Demon Manor. If he didn't make a move soon, it was game over. Hearing all this, 75 boldly announced, "I got this." The Demon King just raised an eyebrow. "You're not planning on bailing, are you?" 75 froze. Asterisk, crap, how'd he know asterisk? He said no, but in his head he was already halfway out the door. The Demon King tossed him a huge piece of premium dragon leg. "It's my favorite. Eat. It'll make you stronger." Seeing how scrawny the kid looked, he was like, "Dude, you're obviously malnourished." For the first time ever, 75 felt like someone actually cared. His parents were always obsessed with his little brother and never gave him any love. He used to wish he'd been born the younger one. That day, he honestly felt like the Demon King was the dad he never had. 3 years just flew by. He fought the Demon King a bajillion times, got his butt kicked every single time, but he kept leveling up. During their last training session, he actually lasted a full 15 minutes. Still, the Demon King was like an impossible final boss. Over those years, he also figured out the secret of Hell Mode, this totally bugged mechanic that would activate whenever he stepped into a monster zone, juicing up all the enemy stats. The worst part, it didn't buff him, only the monsters. So lame. While he was mulling that over, the Demon King told him it was time to go. "Go where?" he asked. "To the continent of Mara," the king said, "and find those books about the gods." 75's eyes lit up. He could finally leave. He was so hyped he was packing and literally dancing in the bathtub. Then, totally out of the blue, he ran into Jiren White again. She congratulated him on passing all the Demon King's trials. He started blushing like crazy. Now that he was older, every time he saw her, his heart went nuts and he just couldn't look away. Clearing his throat, he mumbled he was going to take a bath before he left. He was mentally kicking himself for being such a wimp. 3 whole years and he'd never once asked her out. But Jiren just smiled. "I came to join you for your bath, Lord 75. "Please don't mind me." Asterisk, mind you, asterisk, he screamed in his head. Asterisk, are you kidding me, asterisk? But the bath wasn't exactly what he'd been daydreaming about. She came in fully dressed. He couldn't help but imagine a different version of events. To make things interesting, he suggested a game rock, paper, scissors. Loser grants a wish. Jiren was immediately on board. After losing for like 89 rounds straight, he finally won. His wish, take off one piece of clothing. Jiren took off her underwear. Holding them up, she asked all sweet another round. 75's nose just erupted. He fainted on the spot. His life was officially complete. The next morning, he headed out with his pack. Jiren watched him go silently, wishing him luck. The Demon King appeared beside her. That all depends, he said, on whether he can actually change who he is. Jiren bit her lip. If he couldn't get serious about the Demon King's cause, the mission and 75 himself were totally screwed. By now, 75 had finally stepped outside the Demon Manor. His very first time. He felt like he was on top of the world. He made a 3-point life plan. 1, get crazy rich. 2, eat all the best food on the planet. 3, get loaded and hang with gorgeous girls. The mission. Yeah, that could totally wait until he'd lived a little. But before he even took 10 steps, this insane agony ripped through him. His hands started to decay like they were poisoned. Then that all-too-familiar voice popped into his head. Yo, brat, my blood is already trying to kick you out. He totally froze. It was the Demon King. The truth hit him like a ton of bricks. The Demon King's blood was literally what was keeping him alive. If he even thought about defying his master, that same blood would melt him from the inside out. And get this, he couldn't even hide his thoughts. Just one little rebellious idea and he was almost toast. The Demon King let out a low chuckle. You're special to me, kid. Super useful, too. Then fix me up first, 75 begged. You kinda need me in one piece for your mission, right? Every single time we have this chat, the Demon King sighed. You say something that just gets on my nerves. I'm so over it. Wait, every time? 75 blinked, totally confused. You mean I've done this before? Look down, the Demon King said. Below the cliff were piles of dead bodies, and every single one looked just like him. The horrifying reality crashed down on him. He wasn't one of a kind. Every time he died, the Demon King just rebuilt him from spare parts. Each new 75 was just a backup and insurance policy against him bailing. If he actually died for good, the Demon King's whole plan would go up in smoke. The king would swap out old parts to try and prevent memory loss, but somehow 75 always ended up dying in the exact same spot. Hearing that, 75 just laughed. Hey, old man, ever heard of teenage rebellion? And then he jumped. He'd rather check out for good than be some puppet. But to the Demon King, one more body was no big deal. When 75 opened his eyes again, he was surrounded by a bunch of mountain bandits arguing about how to season him. Seeing a hero from out of town, they got even more hyped. You've got to be kidding me, he muttered. Can't even die right. Then he heard them talking about carving up a centaur woman. He whipped his head around and froze. A beautiful centaur was tied up and totally humiliated, her black stockings all torn. Let her go, he yelled. I'm way tastier than she is. Eat me instead. One of the bandits just laughed. Want to be her hero? Perfect. I love having an audience. 75 was seeing red. You scumbags, can't you see I can't even move? Then just sit back and watch, the guy sneered. He zapped the centaur with a rod, and her scream echoed through the whole cave. I'm gonna wreck every last one of you, 75 roared. He forced himself to his feet, ignoring the pain, but a massive club slammed right into his face. He went rolling across the ground like a loose tire, crashing into a boulder with blood gushing from his nose. The bandits just laughed. A hero, what a joke. They dragged the centaur closer, messing with her right in front of him. As she screamed, something inside 75 just snapped. Boss, old man, I'll do it. I'll finish your stupid mission. Nothing. The blade went up the centaur's life, just seconds from ending. His own neck was on the line. Boss, Dad, he screamed. The very next second, the bandit's arm just vanished. 75's body started glowing a deep red, as he fully synced up with the Demon King's blood. I am so done with you, trash, he growled. He disappeared, and then bam, it was one punch per guy, zero mercy. Just as some blonde bandit was loosening his belt, he turned and saw 75 standing behind him like a demon straight out of hell. One punch later, the dude's lights were out for good. Then the world glitched. A voice echoed, You finally made it. A man was standing in the distance. Bits and pieces of memory came flooding back. He'd seen this guy during the whole blood fusion trip. I've been waiting a long time, the man said. Who even are you? 75 asked. I, the man said calmly, am you. And that's when it all clicked for 75. They were identical, except this other guy was stronger, darker, and seriously terrifying. He was the ultimate version of 75. No matter how many times he respawned, his destiny was to become that guy. The man told him to look back. It was the Demon King's grand fusion plan finally working, because 75's heart had always been fighting against him. The king's blood kept rejecting his body, which is why he died over and over again. None of the other versions had ever made it this far, not until Jiren White Ear figured out that girls were his biggest weakness. She set the whole trap, luring him into the perfect fusion. In that moment, their two souls became one. The ultimate 75 was born. Back in reality, the centaur woman realized she'd been saved, but the guy standing in front of her was radiating such a killer vibe that she started shaking without even thinking. 75 just smiled. Which way to the trial grounds? In another spot, Jiren White had already slipped into her legendary limited edition outfit. Good job, Jiren, the Demon King murmured. The kid finally took the bait. But to get to the Library of Mara, 75 had to beat the trial grounds first, which was a do-or-die challenge made for heroes. You needed 10 or more people to even start it, and winning would let you upgrade your class. Some chunky kid was already getting antsy. To guarantee a win, he'd hired an elite-level hero named Blackhound, a swordsman class. But the kid was still acting all high and mighty, saying Blackhound was beneath him. When another kid nearby said Blackhound's sword, the bloodbath blade, was cool, the rich kid completely lost it. Some peasant is complimenting me. You're insulting the Austin family. He drew his sword to attack, but a hand caught the blade mid-swing. 75 had shown up the 10th member. With what looked like zero effort, he had the rich kid pinned. The tip of the blade was an inch from the kid's chin. His face was frozen in pure terror. This guy was only level 1. Just then, a flash of steel sliced between them. Let him go, Blackhound set his own sword at 75's neck. I don't get paid if he's dead. 75 just chuckled. Relax, doggy. I'm not gonna off him. Then he sent the rich kid flying across the room with the backhand. Totally humiliated, the boy went to attack again, but his sister Hilda stopped him. Pointing her sword at 75, she said, "Then you can fight me instead." But 75, always the gentleman, wasn't about to fight a girl. "Let's make it a game," he said. "Whoever slays more monsters wins, and the loser has to do one thing the winner says. If I lose," he added, "you can totally run me through, but if you lose, you take off one piece of clothing." Hilda shot back instantly, and with the bet on the 10 of them, rolled into the trial grounds, the Horror Research Institute. The monsters inside were small fry at first, until hell mode kicked in, juicing up every single creature. Hilda whipped out her sword. One clean swing, and a monster was literally sliced in two. "Don't you forget our bet," she called out. "Don't worry," 75 smirked. "I'm not letting you out of my sight till this is settled." Then out of literally nowhere, a massive hand shot out from behind him. It dragged him down into the darkness below. Feeling his killer vibe, the beast underground figured he was just frozen stiff with fear. "So you the dungeon boss?" 75 asked, super chill. The monster was like, "Nah." He let out a disappointed sigh. The creature totally thought he was being clowned. "Then stop wasting my time. How about a taste of my blood instead?" His eyes flashed scarlet. His aura totally erupted, forming a sick demonic shadow. One punch and the creature's neck just exploded. "Man, hellspawn are seriously nasty," he muttered. "Good thing I've got the old man's blood in me now." Tommy climbed back up. A faint beep echoed, and then everything got all trippy and warped. The demon's corpse twisted and literally reshaped itself into a door. 75's whole expression got serious. That gate was giving off some seriously bad vibes. Meanwhile, it was pure chaos. Everyone was running for their lives. "We're all gonna die!" some short kid screamed, which just ticked off everyone around him. One guy turned to cuss him out and got chomped clean in half. The short kid shut his mouth real fast. A beast with a crazy long mouth was clinging to the wall. It latched onto his ankle and he started screaming for help. "Don't, young master," someone said. "That thing is way out of our league." The noble kid hesitated, basically agreeing it wasn't worth getting taken out. Then a slim figure stepped forward. "So this is the cowardly Austin family. Move." He grabbed the short kid's arm and just yanked. His muscles were totally straining. The noble's face burned with pure rage. How dare some low-level punk look down on me? But when 3 more monsters popped up, he froze all over again. Still seeing someone younger fighting so fearlessly, it lit a fire in his chest. "Blackhound," he roared, "triple pay, save them! 3 times the pay." Blackhound just smirked, "Deal." "Then move," the noble barked. Blackhound whipped out his twin blades. You could feel the killing intent just pouring into the steel. The bodyguard gasped. "That's a swordmaster's first skill, killing intent infusion. It makes your weapon literally thirst for blood." Blackhound's eyes were practically glowing. To him, these monsters were just walking stacks of cash. With a single flash, he vanished. When he reappeared, the long-mouthed beast was already headless. In another blur, the rest of them dropped, sliced perfectly clean. The young lord was just frozen. He'd ordered a rescue, not a total massacre. "It's a self-made technique," his guard whispered. "Only the most elite prodigies can create one." The boy just stared. So this goofy-looking merc was actually a legit genius. Elsewhere, 75 stepped through the door. Endless data was just scrolling in front of him. It felt like walking into some kind of god's personal laboratory. He got curious and reached for a file nearby. "What the?" he muttered, his eyes wide. It was a picture of him from when he was a little kid. A cold dread just crawled up his spine. Maybe he wasn't who he thought he was at all. Meanwhile, after Blackhound wrecked those monsters, both he and his boss leveled up. Even the short kid and that little boy got a massive EXP boost. "Why is everyone leveling up so fast?" the noble kid asked. "It's because of him," the guard said. "The stronger the takedown, the bigger the reward." Right in the middle of his sentence, the guard just froze. The monsters' bodies were gone. "We've reached the end of the tunnel," Blackhound murmured. "This is the boss's turf." He pointed up, and there it was, something you can't even describe. Its presence alone was warping the air. The 2 kids stood there totally paralyzed. The creature's body was so gross its back was fused with like dozens of other monsters. In its palm, these weird mushrooms were bubbling up. One popped loose and got flicked like a marble. It hit the little boy square in the chest. No one knew what it was, but they all felt it spelled game over. Tentacles sprouted, wrapping all around the boy. And then, silence. The short kid freaked out and stumbled backward. In the next heartbeat, the boss blinked and was right behind him. A massive hand clamped down. His head just popped off. Instant KO, the young lord went completely pale. This thing was way out of their pay grade. The monster's neck snapped around, locking onto him next. Clang. A longsword slammed against the creature's neck. Hilda had shown up holding it back. Not while I'm here, she said, her voice like ice. You won't touch my brother. The boss just sneered. Scarlet mushrooms crawled up its arm like a bunch of living beads. In a blink, Hilda's arm started getting absorbed. Blackhound, the Lord screamed. 30 times the pay, save my sister. The twin blades sang as they were drawn. Blackhound's killer vibe flooded the entire hall. A phantom dragon head formed in the arc of his swing. One combined cut. Crack! The boss's arm went flying. Blackhound grabbed Hilda and yanked her free. The price he had to slice off her assimilated arm. Hilda, now with one arm, didn't even flinch. It's just an arm. Focus on killing it. The severed limb began to grow back, which was a total morale killer. Staring at the red mushroom lord, only one thought was burning in Blackhound's mind. Finish it. He ripped off his hood. Underneath was a face that was cold sharp and looked kinda like Zorro. Facing the red mushroom lord, he went all in. That killer energy surged into his twin blades one more time. Creepy mouths started sprouting along the metal, grinning these messed up smiles. Above his head, a wolf-shaped aura howled into existence. The bodyguard stood frozen in shock. That's the Sword House's second skill, Ice God's Descent, the guard gasped. It amps up your combat power by a ton. Blackhound's aura became so real you could almost touch it like a demon rising from hell. His figure vanished. One slash and half of the red mushroom lord's body went flying. The second blade, like it was alive and hungry, bit right into the monster's flesh. Ribbit's body was torn to shreds, but before he could even take a breath, the thing literally healed in seconds. It hit back hard claws ripping across his arm. These nasty little red mushrooms started growing out of the cut. Without even thinking, Blackhound just sliced off the infected chunk of his own arm. And just like that, the monster was totally fine again. He clenched his jaw. Dragging this fight out was a one-way ticket to game over. Hilda got her sword ready, but some huge warrior dude stepped up like, I'll be the distraction. If we don't dip now, we're all toast. The guy let out a roar and charged, mace held high. The throwdown between Blackhound and the red mushroom lord was getting seriously intense. The monster slammed its claw down, but Blackhound dodged with a sick flip. In that split second, the big guy's mace smashed right into its skull. The red mushroom lord whipped around, totally furious. That was the opening Blackhound needed. He unleashed his self-flow move. A ton of ghost wolf heads just exploded out of him, totally swallowing the monster. He finished it with one massive combined slash right through the chaos. Fatty's jaw was on the floor. Even Hilda thought it was done. Blackhound was breathing hard, but he had this little smirk. So sure he'd won. But then the guard next to Fatty started laughing all creepy-like. Red fungus crawled all over his face, twisting into a grin. It was the red mushroom lord's face. Turns out before it died. The boss pulled a fast one and stuck its heart in the guard's body. The merge finished, and bam, the red mushroom lord was back. It screeched and lunged for Fatty. Blackhound tried to jump in, but it was too late. The whole ground just cracked open. Something huge shot out and smacked the monster away. When the dust cleared, everyone was just frozen. It was 75, he was finally back. When 75 saw Hilda was missing an arm, he wanted to call it quits, but she was having none of it. Oh look, we've each taken down one monster. If it's a tie, the real winner is whoever finishes off the red mushroom lord. She seriously doubted 75 could pull it off. The thing was way too OP. But when he heard that, 75's eyes totally lit up. Finally, a real challenge. The red mushroom lord went for another attack. Fatty was screaming for Blackhound to save them, but Blackhound was just chilling nearby, now that 75 was here. The boss was basically no big deal. Right as the monster's claws were about to get the siblings, a boot came out of nowhere and slammed the boss's head straight into the dirt. Everyone just stopped dead. A level freaking 1 hero just stomped a boss into the ground. The red mushroom lord snarled, and both its legs morphed into blades. 75 caught them with his bare hands and kicked the thing so hard it flew back and shattered the wall. He charged in and threw a punch that slammed the monster back into the floor. The red mushroom lord threw a punch back, but weirdly no red fungus stuff grew on 75's face. The monster was totally shook. 75 got his balance and went in again. The two of them were a blur, trading these insane punches. Fatty couldn't believe his eyes. Like, was 75 even human? Then Blackhound yelled, "Go for the heart, that's its weak spot!" And 75 shot back. "Yeah, I got it, so why don't you do it?" he yelled. Blackhound just yawned and said, "I'm taking a break." While they were talking smack, the boss attacked again, slamming 75 into the ground. A wave of toxic mushrooms poured out, completely burying him. The boss started cackling, but it shut up real fast. A beam of light just exploded out, blasting the monster back. 75 got up, his face looking all dark and gross. The big warrior was like, how is he using skills he doesn't even have a class? It was because 75 had the Demon King's blood running through him. It wasn't at full strength, but it still gave him some basic skills like demonic breath. The red mushroom lord spit out a wave of poison to fight back, and its own body started to melt. A bright red heart appeared. 75 snatched it. The boss, already healing, lunged to eat him, but 75 chucked the heart over to Blackhound. Blackhound unleashed his self-flow move, Hound Strike, and crushed it into dust. The trial was finally over. They all passed, which meant they were one step closer to picking their classes. 75 dusted himself off about to bounce when he heard a faint voice call out. The Gods Project is a bust. We lost. The Children of Hope are either gone or MIA. 75 whipped his head around. Some half-a-face was muttering from the shadows. He remembered that god the Demon King talked about once. Guess it was time to find some answers in the library of Mara. Meanwhile, Hilda started to make good on their bet. She actually started taking her clothes off. 75 turned red but was like, "Hey, I didn't do it all myself. Let's just call it a tie." And with that, he just coolly stepped into the portal. Inside, there were 6 classes to choose from. Blademaster, Alchemist, Spell Engraver, Forest Ranger, Exorcist Knight, and Soldier Knight, the Demon King suggested. Either Exorcist Knight or Forest Ranger, because they were both easier to start with, but 75 whined that the Exorcist Knight armor was way too heavy, and the Ranger's outfit looked lame. So in the end, he picked the Soldier Knight, which looked cool, but was super clunky. The Demon King just about had a heart attack from rage. The others made their picks too. Fatty became an alchemist, while the big guy and Hilda both went with Exorcist Knight. As they were heading out, 75 was holding this old photo. He was totally shocked. One of the guys looked exactly like Blackhound. 75 was staring, comparing the faces. Blackhound got the wrong idea and thought he was there to collect some money or something, and almost pulled his sword on him. Once they cleared that up, Fatty invited both of them over to his family's place to say thanks. At the Austin mansion, Fatty gave the guard stuff to the butler. The butler just held his son's things and cried. He said his son was loyal to the family and didn't regret a thing. Seeing that totally brought back memories for 75 of when his adoptive parents used to call him bad luck. He started blaming himself for the guard's death and got super down. Blackhound could totally tell what was on his mind. He explained that 75 was a glitchborn, basically a bug in the system. And just him being there made the trial way harder, which is why the guard died. Then Blackhound admitted he was a glitchborn too and started telling his own story. And get this, Blackhound's real name is actually Moro. His master raised him since he was a kid, and he had to watch his mentor get taken out in a super messed up way during the war. When his rage hit its absolute max, he triggered a system glitch himself and made the most powerful contract ever. So Blackhound gave 75 the lowdown glitchhorns like them were basically being hunted by Systemian enforcers. A little later, 75 spots this dude in a creepy demon mask just dissolve into frost and slip into Hilda's room. Of course, he totally chased after him. But before he could even do anything, the whole room flash froze. A super cold voice echoed, "I'm Trollad, a Systemian executive sent by the rain god to pass judgment." 75 was so not expecting a pop quiz to happen this fast. Perfect chance to test out his first skill, though. Trollat was scanning his stats experience bar no limit mode and dang his actual level. But Trollat wasn't even impressed, acting like levels don't mean a thing. What actually shocked him, though, was that his insane frost power hadn't frozen 75 at all. Meanwhile, Fatty was trying to pay Blackhound the commission for the trials, but he was short on cash. So Blackhound decided to just give him a dog instead. All of a sudden, he felt this major killing vibe. He kicked Fatty out of the way just as a huge pillar of fire shot up between them. A white-haired kid holding a long sword stepped right out of the flames. This guy was clearly here to start something. At the same time, 75 was facing off with Trollat. He activated his skill, summoning a 6 silver shotgun. He got off 2 quick shots, but Trollat dodged them way too easily. 75 frowned. His skill felt insanely weak. No wonder the Demon King almost blew a gasket back then. Trollat just smirked. "So this is your big Soldier Knight skill? That's pathetic." A Soldier Knight's first power is supposed to be a gun that fits their vibe, usually a machine gun or a sniper rifle. But 75's weapon, a slow short-range shotgun with a cooldown that drains his HP if he spams it. Still, he just ignored it and kept on firing. The room was just echoing with non-stop blasts. Trollat couldn't believe he was using a shotgun like it was full auto, but the consequences hit him fast. 75's stamina was dropping like a rock. Trollat totally took his chance, slammed his frozen blade into the ground and unleashed his own skill, Frostmara Whale. Instantly, a massive ghost whale just erupted from the floor. Its jaws were wide open, lunging right for 75. He had to force his skill again, blasting at the whale. He barely fought off the attack, but he was totally gassed. And at some point, Trollat had already snuck up behind him. With just one slash, he lopped off 75's arm. He smirked, thinking there was no way a tired, one-armed human could fight back, especially since Hilda's body temp was plummeting. She had like 30 seconds left tops. But then 75 just started laughing. Losing wasn't even on his mind. He just picked up his arm and stuck it back on. 3 seconds later, it was completely healed. Then he slammed his elbow right into Trollat's face. Trollat was totally stunned. How could a human heal that fast? 75 stomped him into the ground. "You take me out, Trollat, a whole organization will be after you." 75 literally did not care. He pressed his shotgun right to Trollat's head. "Let's see you dodge this." The gun roared. Trollat's divine weapon, the frostblade, just shattered into a puff of mist. Elsewhere, Saxon was fighting Blackhound, swinging his own divine sword, the blazing greatsword. "Just give up," he said coldly, and then unleashed his stab flow skill, Magma Slash. Blackhound's twin blades were shattered, but Saxon didn't go for the final blow. "Show me your ultimate weapon," Saxon demanded. He knew Blackhound got it from his strongest contract. A weapon so powerful it could end you, but it also drained the life out of whoever used it. Blackhound just smirked. You're not worthy of seeing it! Saxon's anger just exploded. Flames roared as he launched his strongest attack, Fire Serpent. Super calmly, Blackhound activated Forge God's Descent and just erased Saxon in an instant. As he walked away, something felt off. The Sistians just showing up out of the blue was super sketchy. Even the Austen family's place was breached with zero resistance. It had to be an inside job. Somewhere in the mansion, a whisper echoed, Sweet Emily, your hard work is seriously impressive. As a reward, you'll get the place of honor on the altar. But don't worry. You won't be the only one getting all the glory. Leaving the estate, Blackhound suddenly realized he never even asked for the dog's name. He was about to name it himself when the dog just took off. He was looking under the trees when he froze. There was a body with no head. Just then, a whistle echoed from the castle in the distance. Blackhound slipped inside it and found the dog there. A guy in a cloak sensed movement outside and rushed out. It was a total fake-out. Blackhound's diversion. As he turned to leave with the dog, it suddenly started barking like crazy behind him. He spun around. Ted's helmet was just lying on the ground. When he looked up, he saw a massive symbol made from a bunch of sewn-together bodies. It was the Church of Divinity's altar. The real reason the Sistians showed up. Another whistle came from outside. Blackhound hid by the door ready for an ambush. But the person who came in was 75. Why are you here? They both yelled at the same time. 75 said he just followed the trail from the headless body under the tree. Blackhound said he was just looking for the dog, and warned him to stay out of the whole altar situation. But 75 noticed something even grosser, a rotting foot on the floor. For some reason it looked weirdly familiar. Blackhound said he'd been hoping for treasure, not a body part. 75 looked at it closer. It was a match for an ancient blueprint. The diagram told the story of the altar's origin. Before the Mara continent was even a thing, some evil beings made 5 kid-like monsters of destruction. The creator defeated them and punished their makers. One sorcerer, trying to run from judgment, tore his own body into 4 pieces and scattered them across the world. The legend says, gather the limbs and sacrifice them to the gods, and you'll ascend to the divine realm as their equal. If the 5 evil children were the kids in the photo, then the creator who escaped must have been part of the Godslayer plan, one of the adults in that same picture. If I can find all his parts and bring him back, 75 thought, maybe I'll figure out my own past, and even the secrets my father was looking for about the gods. Just then, Blackhound reached out and touched the limb. A green light flashed, and a message popped up. Program activated. What the heck, 75 blurted out. Dude, I literally just touched it, Blackhound mumbled. A camera lens popped out of the limb, and a red beam scanned him from head to toe. The display lit up, Morosius, the Child of Hope. 75 smirked. Knew it. He's totally one of them. Then another message appeared. Identity confirmed. Children, find me. A faint voice whispered from a recording. Blackhound just stared at the photo, totally lost. Besides his name, his mind was a complete blank. Once we get this thing working, 75 said, we'll finally get some answers. Blackhound nodded. Yeah, let's grab it and bounce. But just as they were about to leave, the head butler showed up at the door with a nasty sneer. Nobody's leaving here alive. Blackhound spotted the vial on the butler's hip, hissing out some kind of gas. Poison. The fumes spread like crazy, and he hit the floor instantly. The butler lifted his axe, totally psyched to finish the job. But then, a sound. He spun around, shocked. 75 was just standing there, totally unfazed, breathing in the poison like it was nothing. The next thing you know, 75 sent him flying through the wall with one punch. You took out all those people just to save your son, he said with ice in his voice. I wasn't gonna get involved, but today I'm taking my friend and that relic, so don't even try me. Freaked out by his immunity to the poison, the butler just stammered, completely speechless. All he could do was watch as 75 carried Blackhound and the limb out of there. Even as he was dying, the butler was still obsessed with bringing his son back. Later back at the hideout, Blackhound woke up and grumbled. Just so you know, I'm not paying for any of this. 75 totally saw that coming and couldn't help but sigh. What a lost cause. Good thing he was prepared and reminded him they still had 2 other friends to look out for. As for the bill, the others could cover it. To bring back the owner of the limb, the 4 of them headed out to the Church of Divinity's main base. While they were traveling, 75 asked, kinda curious why the Austen family didn't have any decent security. Hilda explained the whole story, saying her family only became one of the 5 great houses because of her older sister, Austen Valda, who was a soldier knight just like 75. Apparently her sister was now one of the 3 ace heroes with insane rank and power. 75 was totally blown away that the soldier class could be that strong. Hilda kept going. Heroes rank up from novice to intermediate advanced elite, and then the top tier is ace hero, that's like ultimate glory. Jean chimed in that because of that, all the top-tier fighters followed her sister to rebuild their clan. So nobody was left and watched the house. Then 75 asked about those 2 Sistians they ran into earlier. After a super long, awkward silence, Blackhound finally explained it was all the butler's fault. Turns out the head butler of the family was secretly a member of the church. He built this creepy sigil altar out of bodies, which is what set off the Sistians' hunt. After traveling for a whole day, the crew rolled into a small town to crash for the night. 75 had just face-planted on the comfy bed when he heard Hilda say, "There are only 2 rooms left. Fatty and Blackhound took one, which means you and I are rooming together tonight." 75 froze up, remembering she had a habit of sleeping with nothing on. Awkward was a massive understatement. Trying to break the tension, he asked what her sister was usually up to. Hilda said Valda spent most of her time battling other families for some super rare resource and artifact hidden deep inside a monster's lair. A shiver went down 75's spine. Wait a sec. Could that hidden lair be the Demon King's manor? As soon as Hilda was asleep, he tried to hit up his demon dad but got nothing back. Maybe the old man was ghosting him. He really needed to ask him about the church. No way the noble families were actually going after the Demon King's territory. Meanwhile, 3 elite heroes from the Barnett family had already made it to the lair and were facing off against the Demon King himself. But the Demon King, he wasn't even sweating it. In fact, he was totally stoked. Pretty soon, every great house sent their top heroes to try and claim the demon's head. The only ones who didn't seem to care were the Church of Divinity. Their high priest, Tianxing, had other stuff on his mind. The reconstruction of the evil one's body was just missing one leg, and the butler who was supposed to get it had totally vanished. So he ordered General Buck from the Corby family to go get it. Somewhere else. 75's crew showed up at the church's gate with the limb, but some guards stopped them. A guard demanded the password to get in. Blackhound, having zero patience, just slammed one of them to the ground. Then they just waltzed right in like they owned the place. All of a sudden, a deep voice stopped them in their tracks. They looked up, and standing right in front of them was General Buck of the Corby family, an elite hero. General Buck's eyes instantly locked onto the limb in 75's arms. Looking super hyped, he declared, "That leg belongs to me, 75, and Blackhound were like, no way." But Buck could already see right through them. "All right, cut the act," he said, his voice cold as ice. "Let's settle this with our fists." 75, who had no idea how big the power gap was, thought, "Yeah, we can take him." But Blackhound's face went completely white. "Dude, he's not like the others," he whispered. "This guy's on a whole other level. We gotta bail like right now." Buck's hands started glowing gold as he powered up his skill. "You're not wrong," he said. "How do you think a regular knight becomes a general without some insane power?" And just like that, a golden shield appeared in his hand. He activated his unique skill, Holy Shield Enclosure. With a massive blast, Buck shot forward like a lightning bolt. A crimson light exploded from Blackhound's arm. War God Descent Wolf Demon. But before he could even finish the cast, Buck's hammer came crashing down. The impact literally made the air crack. Buck's power jumped by 30% as his arm and shield moved in perfect sync. If Blackhound had his blade, he might have had a shot, but not like this. Clang. That shield hammer totally obliterated his defense, leaving a freaking crater under him. In just one hit, Blackhound was down for the count, not even twitching. "One down," Buck muttered. 75 was just frozen. He seriously thought Blackhound could at least hold his own. But before he could even blink, Buck's hammer was crashing right at him. "2 down," Buck sneered. "That limb's all mine." He was already daydreaming about snagging all the relics, becoming some kind of god and getting his family's honor back. 75 just smirked. "You're celebrating way too soon." Buck blinked, totally shocked. His attack had been stopped cold. 75's eyes got laser-focused. "Guess I can still mess with you for a bit." His shotgun manifestation skill activated. A 6 silver scattergun appeared in his hands. Bang bang bullets ripped through the air, slamming right into Buck's face. The general was shook. The kid was only level 1. How could he be dishing out that much damage? Buck had totally underestimated them from the jump, acting all superior, like he was watching ants fight. Now his whole expression hardened. He was gonna absolutely crush them. Seeing that look, 75 felt his confidence take a nosedive. Just like Blackhound had warned, this enemy was on a completely different level. Wrapped in that massive steel armor, Buck just kept coming one step at a time. The pressure alone made 75 backpedal. The kickback from his shotgun was brutal. Any level advantage he had was gone. He remembered what someone once said. In a world like Morrow, your level isn't everything. He was finally learning that the hard way. If this kept up, he'd have to grab Blackhound in tow and just bail. Buck ripped off his helmet, sneering, "Get ready to die!" In the next second, General Buck's holy shield wrapped around him all over again. His armored body swelled up until he looked like some kind of human-shaped monster. 75 had no idea you could even use the skill like that. Here comes his trump card. With a massive boom, the monster-sized strike came crashing down on him. He lifted his hand and made an OK sign at his lips. The wind-up for his own skill. Shink, a blood-soaked longsword flashed past. A blade from behind punched straight through his heart. He spat out blood and cursed himself for being so careless. He'd left his back totally wide open, but he paused too. He was gonna finish the kid himself, only to have his kill stolen. The new guy, some church operative, was a level 98 high-grade sword hero. Buck just snorted. "Didn't need your help to handle him." The man didn't give a crap. He'd just shown up to flex his brand new blade, Dark Hackle. Buck didn't even glance at it. A total waste of a weapon in your hands. He grabbed a severed leg and just walked off. The guy in sunglasses called after him, asking what that thing even was. Buck snapped, "Don't ask questions you shouldn't. High Priest's orders don't slow down the mission." The man just clicked his tongue. He totally despised Buck, but he knew he couldn't beat him. Meanwhile, 75's mind just zoned out into another space. A million versions of himself were mocking him. Without the Demon King, he was nothing. Their voices just droned on and on. Wake up, wake up. A demonic body was lying at their feet. Listening to them, he somehow pushed himself up. He roared, "I'm the strongest human alive." But in reality, his eyes snapped open. His lungs were on fire. He coughed up a huge mouthful of blood. Blackhound drawled that he figured getting your heart pierced meant you were a goner for sure. The two of them were trapped in a sealed room. Blackhound had already tried to bust out earlier and failed. He sighed. If I'd had my 2 blades, I wouldn't have lost that bad. 75 didn't say anything. He wasn't really in a position to be thinking about Buck's self-flow technique. The frustration was eating him alive. If he just had one of his own, maybe things would have turned out different. He asked Blackhound for a favor. Blackhound frowned, not sure what he could do, but told him to spit it out. Teach me the legendary self-flow technique. No, Blackhound said flatly. 75's inner voice was raging. How could this mutt just turn him down? He actually bled a little from pure rage. He pushed again. Why not teach me? Isn't this like the perfect time? Blackhound gave him 2 reasons. First, he wasn't a teacher. To be honest, he had no clue how to teach. Second, he never did stuff for free. 75's inner voice just exploded again. Money now. Did he look like he was made of cash? He coughed up more blood just from being so ticked off. Smack! He slammed a hand against the wall. Blackhound narrowed his eyes. You trying to pick a fight? No, I play fair. If I'm asking for a favor, I'll pay the price. His stare got super intense. Let's make a deal. He offered the dog up as leverage. You don't actually know the first thing about raising a purebred Doberman, do you? Somewhere else, Hilda was just mindlessly stroking the dog's fur. Blackhound had given it a super cute name, Meow Meow. Worry was all over Hilda's face. She was scared the two of them had run into trouble after being gone for so long. Jean chimed in. Right now, we should probably be worried about ourselves. Without Blackhound's protection, we'd better go hide before the Sistians find us. Hilda got even more anxious and ordered her younger brother to grab his gear and go search for 75 and Blackhound. Cold sweat started pouring down the kid's forehead. He instantly regretted opening his mouth. If they ran into a Sistinaean on the road, it would be game over. And as if on cue, a Sistian unit showed up, taking out a ton of people from the church headquarters. The Sistian cursed at the bodies, idiots. At least none of their gross blood got on me. His visor showed a set of coordinates. He was closing in on 75 and Blackhound and fast. He pushed on into the church complex, totally determined to kill the 2 glitch humans. Meanwhile, Blackhound was actually teaching 75 how to create a self-flow technique. First, picture the form you wanted to take. 75 summoned his skill weapon and started pumping energy into it to get it stable. Step by step, he followed, the instructions visualizing the shape in his head. A handgun started to take form in his consciousness. His mental hands reached out, trying to grab it. Good, Blackhound said. All right, stay in the zone and keep that energy pumping. Don't break focus. But as he said it, the picture in his head started to fall apart. Don't stop, Blackhound yelled. Keep it steady. And right then, General Buck had just finished locking up the severed limb when someone started pounding on the door like their life depended on it. Something was seriously wrong at the church. A cleric burst in screaming that a Sistemian had just crashed HQ. Buck looked so over it. He'd literally just joined this church, and chaos was already breaking loose. Meanwhile, 75's try failed. Again. Blackhound totally lost it. Idiot, I spelled it out for you and you still can't get it right. 75 totally ignored the insult, just focusing on channeling his energy and holding the construct. He was pouring everything into reshaping it. All of a sudden, the iron door boomed. A second later, it just exploded open. Blackhound slowly looked up. Well, whoever that is, they're not here to play nice. In that exact moment, 75 nailed his self-flow technique. Blackhound let out a breath. One lesson and he's already got it. Guess the kid's got some real talent. From the shadows, a figure adjusted his glasses and stepped into the light. Found you. Both of you glitch types. 75 and Blackhound shot each other a look. The Sistemian had tracked them down way faster than they expected. The 3 of them stood in a standoff like a perfect triangle. Asterisk, shing, asterisk. The Sistemian pulled his sword. Do yourselves a favor and just end it now. Save me the trouble of cleaning you off my clothes. Blackhound narrowed his eyes and mumbled, Someone's got a big mouth, huh? 75 smirked. Let me take him, I can handle it. Not yet, Blackhound cut him off. We split up. Find a relic limb first. Let the Sistemian pick who he wants to follow. 75 considered it for a second, then gave a nod. In a flash, they both vanished. The Sistemian just looked up and scoffed. Cheap tricks like that won't save you. You're just delaying the inevitable. Blackhound glanced back, and his stomach dropped. The Sistemian was chasing him. Fine, he thought. Guess I'm gonna need a serious weapon? At the same time, Hilda and her brother Jean got to the church. Hilda's sharp gaze swept over the bodies of the fallen guards. This is bad. 75 and Blackhound walked into a trap. Their eyes widened in shock. The shadow in front of them moved, and General Buck was just standing there. His voice was like ice. Now it's your turn to have a problem. Jean was frozen solid. He knew Buck's reputation, they were totally screwed. Sweat started rolling down his face. I'll stall him, Hilda whispered. You run! Jean's stomach dropped to his feet. We're done for both of us. Buck clenched his fist. That self-flow technique. Holy shield enclosure. Hilda threw up her own shield to block it. Same rank, huh? Buck sneered. Then let me show you the real gap between us. With one hit, Hilda was sent flying straight into a wall. Hilda! John screamed, rushing to her. She was so still he thought she was gone. Pure rage just took over. Lightning crackled between his fingers. Elemental shot. Buck barely even blinked. That's it, lame. A single punch sent Jean dropping to his knees. A so-called hero who's this weak, Buck said coldly. Even trash has more value. He stepped forward, grinding his boot onto Jean's head. Heroes who can't get any stronger don't deserve to live. In that exact moment, a thunderous roar tore through the air. Hilda shot forward, crackling with lightning. Touch my brother again, and I swear I'll bury you right where you stand. Buck's grin just got wider. Oh, so you do have some fight left in you. Asterisk clang asterisk. His fist crashed into her right shoulder. His other hand snapped around her throat. In the hero world, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. Blood trickled down from her lip, but she smiled. Don't get too cocky. You're gonna regret this. Defiant right to the end. Pathetic, Buck spat. And then boom! A blur crashed into him from behind. Buck was sent flying clear across the hall. 75 landed, catching Hilda as she fell. You're hurt because I didn't get here fast enough. That's on me. Hilda weakly pushed him off. Just stop talking. You finish this. I just need to sleep. Then she collapsed. Buck clawed his way out of the rubble, his face twisted in fury. You escaped the dungeon. So what? He snarled. You're still not on my level. 75 grinned, his fighting energy flaring to life. Don't underestimate me, Tin Knight. The me you're facing today isn't the same person from yesterday. In the next instant, 75 unleashed his self-flow, his energy erupting like a freaking hurricane. General Buck tensed up. He's never used a self-flow before. Did he learn it in the dungeon? The construct finished forming. Dual guns materialized in his hands, and the energy in the air went off the charts. Buck didn't even flinch. He had his own self-flow going, arms hanging casually at his sides. 75 smirked. Whoever said this was a asterisk normal asterisk self-flow? Buck instantly closed the distance. A couple of trashy guns won't be enough to beat me. Asterisk clang asterisk. Their self-flow weapons smashed together. 75 just grinned. Beating you might take a minute, but tagging you piece of cake. He snapped the barrel of his gun to the side. A direct hit right to Buck's face. Asterisk thud asterisk. Buck went flying into the wall. 75 snapped the stock back into place. Underestimate me again. I dare you. Buck was totally blindsided. He hadn't even had time to raise his holy shield enclosure. 75 lunged forward, aiming high. You can't block this one. The impact is impossible to block. Asterisk boom asterisk. Another blast rocked his helmet. Sparks flew and Buck cratered the wall again in a flash. Suddenly, Buck was right there, his hands clamping down on 75's arms like iron vices. Your weakness is a joke. A self-flow is just an extension of your base skill. Your shotgun has a 2-second reload after every single shot. That opening is your downfall. His shield flared up. And once I find a weakness, the game is over. A shielded fist slammed down. 75's head smashed into the floor. He could feel warm blood starting to run. His ears were ringing with static. Bring 3 more tricks next time, Buck sneered. Or at least make it look good when you lose. 75 actually chuckled. Oh, you want tricks? I've got a few. His left leg shot up. Buck's eyes widened. Since when do you have a leg cannon? The blast exploded right in Buck's face. He staggered backwards, completely dazed. A cannon! From his leg! 75's gaze sharpened. Stop underestimating me. Buck struggled to stay on his feet. All right, no more going easy on you. Buck growled. Time to see my perfect form. 75 was like for real perfect what a shield snapped over Buck's head. A second later, plating locked across his whole body, leaving just his eyes showing. 75's jaw clenched. Great. Now how am I supposed to bust through that? Elsewhere, Blackhound was hauling serious tail. The Systemian dude barked out a word. A spike shot out all like, quit running. Just give up and let me end this. The stake slammed into him and Blackhound went down hard. The Systemian adjusted his glasses. Surrender and I'll make it quick. Then a super chill voice drifted in. Well, looks like a party. This old church hasn't been this lit in ages. Both dudes went rigid. Another heavy hitter was on the scene. The sunglasses guy just chuckled. I love a good crowd. Mind if I play? And just like that, 3 powers were clashing, each one squaring up. Without a weapon, Blackhound was totally the weakest link here. The Systemian snapped, Stay out of this, you sunglasses freak, or you're next. The sunglasses guy just grinned. You wear glasses too, dude. Wow, genius. A little hypocritical, don't you think? Blackhound kept his distance. He knew these 2 4-eyed monsters were way out of his league. The Systemian adjusted his lenses. Fine. If you two won't move, I'll go first. Shing, he shot straight for Blackhound. Blackhound ripped a spike from his own side and their weapons clashed with a metal-on-metal scream. Seeing his opening, the sunglasses guy smirked, his twin blades starting to glow even brighter. Boom! He unleashed his self-flow technique, Wolf Assault. Every instinct in Blackhound's body screamed at him to move. He countered instantly, Helldog Devour. A phantom hound literally bit through the wolf attack. Before he could even take a breath, the sunglasses dude shot into the sky. Self-flow technique, Starving Wolf Trap. Dozens of ghostly wolf heads exploded from the ground, hitting Blackhound hard. When the dust settled, Blackhound was buried in rubble. The sunglasses guy turned to the Systemian. So the three-way dance is over already. Guess it's just us now. He fired up his aura. Ice God Descent. A surge of violet energy exploded from him. The Systemian pushed his glasses up. Then only one of us is walking away from this. Shh! He flicked his wrist, launching a storm of spikes. The sunglasses guy's blades were a blur, deflecting every last one. Whoosh! He launched himself forward, charging straight in, but as he got closer, something felt super wrong. Wait, why am I slowing down? The Systemian just calmly pushed his glasses up his nose again. The sunglasses guy froze, totally locked up in midair. What is this? Is it an illusion? The Systemian's voice was dead cold. No illusion. You're inside my field. In this space, you lag. Every step leaves a trail. Every trail leads to your end. This is my self-flow technique, absolute execution. Realizing he was totally screwed, the sunglasses guy let out a bitter laugh. He felt like total prey caught in a lion's claws. When the barrier disappeared, the Systemian's spike was punched clean through his chest. Turning away, he muttered, time to deal with the other glitchy human. But behind him, Blackhound stirred, crawling out from the debris and grabbing the twin blades. Faint noise made the Systemian twitch. He turned, sneering. Didn't expect a rookie to still be kicking. Blackhound raised the blades. Last time I didn't have a weapon. Now I'm dying to carve you up. The Systemian's tone went completely flat. Pathetic. You could have run. You chose to get yourself deleted. Blackhound's jaw clenched. He refused to be called a rookie. After all, the person he was mimicking used to be a hero. The Systemian gripped his spike stake. Blackhound crouched low, power crackling around him. Whoosh, he vanished. Idiot, the Systemian muttered. He activated his self-flow technique, absolute execution. A blue barrier expanded over the ruins. Calmly, he followed the traces of movement. In a flash, he found Blackhound's position and lunged. Inside the barrier, the Systemian was moving like lightning. But in the next second, 2 deep slashes tore across his body. He stared at the wounds, completely stunned. Boom! He crashed to the ground hard. The absolute execution field shattered. Damn it! He hissed. My outfit's ruined. But how the hell did he attack inside my field? Blackhound replied coldly. You froze. That wasn't my skill. The Systemian's eyes widened. How did he bait me? Blackhound smirked. Too late, idiot. You're caught. Don't get cocky, the Systemian roared. They both lunged again, their blades flashing like crazy. Clang sparks exploded between them. You're trash, the Systemian snarled. You can't even take on a high-tier hero. Blackhound's gaze darkened. Then watch this self-flow technique. Dragon Sea Slash! The blade sliced through the air and him like nothing. The Systemian hit the ground, powerless, bleeding out. Guess you're not a rookie, huh? He muttered weakly. Looking up, he gave a faint smile. Your teacher must be proud. Blackhound froze silent. I've got a student too, the Systemian whispered. Hope he'll surpass me just like you surpassed your master. So finish it. Don't let him wait for nothing. Blackhound's eyes softened, lost in a memory. He had waited like that once, praying his mentor would come back. His teacher had promised, I won't be long, but all that ever came back was the news of his death. Taking a deep breath, Blackhound lowered his blades and turned away. If you don't end this now, the Systemian rasped, I'll come for you later. I'll be waiting, Blackhound said quietly, walking off. Meanwhile, the fight between 75 and General Buck was heating up big time. Fists and kicks were flying like a storm. You damn rat! Buck yelled, his composure completely cracking. 75 just sneered. You lean way too hard on that holy shield. Without it, your body's basically made of paper. Me, I was raised by someone who beat me half to death every single day. He eyed Buck like he was a joke. That so-called perfect form of yours is ugly as hell, and I already broke it. He cracked his knuckles, grinning. Fine, then I'll just make my own. Let's call it bloodbath form. Insulted down to his soul, General Buck totally lost it, swearing he'd make 75 pay. He activated his holy shield convergence. A sick helmet made of pure shield force just clamped down over his head. All his power totally compressed, way more intense than you can even imagine. With a sonic boom, he shot forward like a freaking missile. Get out of the way now, Hilda screamed. That impact is gonna be insane! But 75 didn't even flinch. He channeled the demon breath, packing every last drop of energy into his palm. It burned like you wouldn't believe, but he was dying to test out a demon breath round. Buck unleashed his self-flow super-nuclear crystal meteor rush, blitzing him at point-blank range. 75's self-flow peaked at the exact same moment. Bang. The demon round went off at full power. Buck's ultra-alloy compressed shield just shattered on impact. The blast shook the whole holy church, getting Archpriest Tinching's attention. He basically gave up on Buck right then and there. If leveling up meant getting relics, he'd just grab the remnant limb himself. Meanwhile, Buck slammed into the floor, totally choking on dust. 75 strolled over and stomped on his chest. Buck coughed up blood, completely helpless. Talk, 75, said, his voice like ice. Alder's parts. Where are they? Jean was cheering nearby. We won, 75 just took down a top-tier skirmisher. He gave 75 a huge bear hug. Name your price, dude. Please let me be your student. Hilda could only face palm. One condition, 75 said. Teach Black Hound how to take care of a cat. Jean pounded his chest. You got it. Hilda blinked. Wait, where's Black Hound? Assistant's been tailing him since we split, 75 replied. He'll be fine. The remnant limb is our priority. As he turned to go, he glanced back at Buck, thinking, dude's strong, he thought. Just picked the wrong opponent, without that demon breath trick. I might have gotten totally wrecked. A sigh escaped him. It was weird, but he kinda missed the old man. The crew moved on. Meanwhile, the Demon King was grinning over a pile of defeated heroes. Is that all you've got? One guy staggered to his feet, with blood on his lip. No wonder nobody ever finds your lair. The ones who do never come back. The Demon King didn't really think his lair was that hard to find. I mean, last time a whole crowd showed up. He was pretty sure you couldn't even call it hidden anymore. But the guy in front of him just sneered, and then burst out laughing, totally trying to get a rise out of him. Guess you've never lost to a hero, he taunted. You think you're untouchable. And what if I am? The Demon King shot back coldly. Is that not the truth? The man's grin twisted, his voice getting all wild. That's where you're dead wrong. Only gods are invincible. The Demon King stiffened, realizing this fanatic had to be one of them. I'm with the Holy Church, the zealot roared. I'll mark this place in God's name and wipe you off the face of the earth. Just then a woman appeared, casually slipping off her gloves. A deafening boom ripped through the room. The zealot's body just exploded with blood and guts flying everywhere. Longear stepped forward, her fingertips still glowing red. Problem solved. He can't mark it now. The Demon King frowned. No, he already did. Impossible, she gasped. I just took him out. The blood on the floor started twisting into glowing runes. The Demon Manor. It was marked. The Demon King hissed. The ground started shaking like crazy. The manor just collapsed into a giant crater like it was swallowed whole. Floating above the pit was some glowing, unknown thing. It hissed and pulsed inside a ball of light. Then a leg stepped out. Someone was actually inside. Meanwhile, way out in a forest, a voice yelled, "Status report, sir!" A tall dude stood on the back of a giant eagle, listening. The Demon Manor was destroyed by one person. Our troops have been wiped out. The commander's eyes went wide. What? That can't be happening! Back at the crater, that single figure had taken out the entire army, their bodies just dissolving into ash. Elsewhere, 75 and his team found a remnant limb just chilling on a crimson altar. A grin slowly spread across his face. Finally found it. He started walking toward it. Awesome, Jean cheered. Let's meet up with Black Hound and find a place to crash. He can decide what's next. Giving her brother the side eye, Hilda asked, Since when are you so motivated? Jean froze right where he stood, sweat dripping down his face. He just wanted to be done with this and get out of this cursed place. 75 glanced at the remnant limb in his hand and smiled. No need to rush to find Black Hound. He'll sniff us out eventually. Let's go grab the next one. Just as he turned to leave, a skeletal hand clamped right around his ankle. His face went dark instantly. He looked down. A whole skeleton was gripping his legs, its empty eye sockets glowing red. The skull's jaw snapped open and closed, making this gross, wet noise. Can I just quit now? Jean screamed, clutching his head. 75, get out of there, Hilda shouted. That's a sigilmancer's skill. Too late. Someone in the shadows had already cast bone imprisonment. Dozens of bony hands crawled up 75's body, dragging him down into the ground. Seriously, it's always underground. He groaned as his body disappeared into the dirt. Hilda lunged forward and grabbed his arm, but she got pulled down too. No! Jean yelled, rushing to help. He barely managed to grab his sister's cloak. All three of them vanished into the abyss. They fell through the darkness for what felt like forever. Thud. They hit solid ground hard. 75 gasped, forcing himself up. Where the heck are we? He muttered, checking the place out. Not far away, Hilda and Jean were lying completely still. Hilda, Jean, he called out. No answer. They were out cold, held by some weird power. A rustling sound echoed. 75 tensed up. A gnarly creature crawled out. Twisted limbs, drooling jaws, and way too many eyes. A monster here, he whispered on high alert. The creature stomped down. He rolled out of the way. This is Holy Church territory. Why are there monsters here? As he dodged, another creature popped up behind him, grabbing Jean around the middle. 75 spun around, his expression hardening. Oh, there's more of you. You are not taking him, he roared, activating his scattergun burst. Boom. The shot ripped the monster's arm clean off, and Jean tumbled free. The gun kept firing on its own bullets, just erupting nonstop. Its tentacles got shredded and its core went flying. The beast collapsed in a bloody mess. Then this crazy light just washed over Hilda and Jean. A system voice chimed in. Level up achieved. They actually leveled up. 75 blinked, totally floored. Wait, is this some kind of monster nest all around him? Massive beasts were snarling and lunging. Their roars were deafening. 75 threw up his guard trying to shield his knocked out teammates. No way. This is supposed to be holy church ground. What the heck happened? As 75 whipped his head around to scope out the area, a monster went for it. Its giant tongue shot out of its mouth and wrapped around him in like a second. He struggled like crazy, but he couldn't break free. The tongue was covered in these nasty barbs that suddenly clamped down, digging deep into his skin. 75 screamed in agony as blood streamed down the creature's tongue. Still wiped from his fight with that elite hero earlier, he couldn't dodge in time. Gritting his teeth, he muttered, "Dang, looks like the body my old man built for me still can't hang with this kind of freak show." Meanwhile, Hilda was in major trouble. A monster lunged right at her jaws, wide open, totally ready to swallow her whole. 75 yelled, "Hilda!" But he could barely move, still trapped by the creature's tongue. He braced himself for the end, pretty sure he was a goner. Then out of nowhere, a voice rang out, "Hang on!" His eyes went wide with disbelief. The new guy activated self-technique absolute execution. With one clean slice, he severed the monster's tongue, freeing 75. Then in a total blur, he diced up another beast that was holding Hilda down. 75 crashed to the ground, the half-sliced tongue still stuck in him. "You where's Blackhound?" he gasped out. His rescuer was the system guy. The dude held a short blade, his expression totally blank. The guy with the buzz cut. He's alive. Before 75 could get a word out, Blackhound popped out of the shadows. "Self-technique fang slash," he roared, slicing another monster's arm clean off. Walking up all cool with his twin blades, he smirked. "Don't you go dying on me. You still owe me that lesson on taking care of cats." 75 laughed, so relieved. "You two show up now." Talk about perfect timing. Like 20 minutes earlier, Blackhound was crouched by a bloody patch on the ground, the last place they'd stored the limb. "The trail goes cold right here," he muttered. The system guy was just leaning against the wall, all casual. "Looking for your friends, I might be able to help." "Help?" Blackhound scoffed. "You gonna use your system for that, 'cause I'm not paying you?" "Just think of it as a favor," the system guy replied, "for letting me live. I've got bigger fish to fry. This is just on the way." Blackhound's eyes narrowed. "Your bigger thing is getting rid of us, isn't it? Just admit you owe me one." The system guy flinched and grabbed him by the collar. "I'm not hiding a thing. Your friends are literally right under us." He let out a sharp breath, then went on. "When I got into the holy church, my system shot me a warning. This entire place is actually one big monster nest." Blackhound's face got super serious, a bead of sweat trickling down his cheek. "The creator made this world," the system guy said quietly. "We system units were supposed to keep things in line. But the holy church has completely lost it." Inside the monster den, the team was just tearing through enemies, slaying beast after beast until the very last head hit the floor with a sick thud. They stood guard around the siblings' weapons, out every muscle coiled. Once the smoke cleared, whatever monsters were left totally bailed in a panic. A sharp asterisk ping asterisk came from Blackhound's system panel. "Congratulations, you've reached a new level." The system agent glanced over at the two unconscious kids and turned to 75. "Are your friends okay? Why aren't they waking up?" 75 just shook his head. "I don't know. They've been out cold since I came to. Probably took a nasty fall." That really set the system agent off. He grabbed 75's shoulders and yelled, "You didn't even check on them. You have no idea if they're alive or dead." He quickly dropped down to check Hilda. "Okay, good, no serious damage," he muttered. Then he checked the boy next to her and just froze. "He's gone!" he yelled, then snapped at 75. "You idiot! You're seriously just chilling and chatting with Blackhound at a time like this." 75 shot back. "Well then go save him." Blackhound grumbled. "I don't owe the kid anything, but he owes me." 75 said coldly, "He's the one teaching you how to raise cats. And he's the only one here who's any good with dogs." With a sigh, Blackhound shoved the system agent aside. "Move." He walked over to Jean, holding this rod that was crackling with blue electricity. An electric baton. You could totally tell how powerful it was from the sparks jumping off it. With a straight face, Blackhound jammed it right into Jean's chest. Lightning flashed, Jean screamed, and Blackhound just said calmly, "All done. He's alive again." 75 watched from the back with a satisfied smirk. "Nice one. That's some trick you've got there, huh?" The system agent's jaw was on the floor. He totally did not see that coming. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead as he muttered, "These guys are completely nuts." He was even starting to regret helping them. Jean was actually back to life. He got to his feet, his hair a total disaster. But he had this super serious look on his face as he asked, "What happened?" 75 and Blackhound turned at the exact same time, eyes wide, and both blurted out, "Who are you?" in the same weird flat voice. Jean looked totally confused. Why didn't they recognize him? He was still Jean, right? 75 held back a laugh, cracking a smile, and noticed Jean looked different. Kind of more attractive, weirdly. The system agent, though, just frowned, adjusted his glasses, and stepped up. "It looks like he's got a glitch," the agent said, dead serious. "He's not the same as he was." Blackhound's brow furrowed, and then it clicked. "You're saying Jean's become a glitch subject?" 75 stayed cool and pointed at Jean. What kind of glitch are we talking about? He asked. The agent looked down. His face got super grim like he was looking at something he couldn't even believe. The system readout laid it all out. Jean's glitch lets him use high-tier skills even though he's under level 60 and gives him natural light-based attacks, but that's literally all he can use. Jean just stood there completely dazed. Then bam, a ginormous boulder comes crashing down, making the whole place shake. He totally freaked, muttering, this whole cave is gonna come down on us. And just like that, rocks started raining from the ceiling. The system agent's face got dead serious. He yelled, "Move it! If we don't bail now, we're all toast." 75 scrambled out of the way, scooping up Hilda, who was still out cold. He groaned. Seriously, can we catch a break for like 5 seconds? Is our luck just this bad? Suddenly, the system agent screamed, "Blondie, look out!" 75 glanced up totally confused, just in time to see a boulder the size of a mountain coming right for him, ready to totally flatten him. But then Jean showed up out of nowhere. He literally jammed the power rod into himself, and you could see the electricity coursing through him as he powered up his forge body. Black Dog's eyes were like saucers. Whoa, that's the alchemist's third skill. He's turning liquid metal into pure energy. Totally juiced up. Jean launched himself into the air and threw this casual-looking punch that just obliterated the boulder, splitting it clean in two. 75 saw his opening dodge the falling chunks and bounced away with Hilda, sticking the landing after a few slick moves. Hilda's eyes fluttered open and she whispered, 75. He couldn't help but smile, so relieved. Then this deep rumble shook the cave one last time and everything went dead silent. And then he just froze. Right in front of them was this massive machine with pipes and tubes going everywhere. And right in the middle in a glowing yellow container was the relic they'd been looking for this whole time. That's when the high priest's eyes snapped open under his mask. A creepy smile spread across his face. Well, look what we have here. Guests. A little early, aren't we? So sorry I didn't roll out the welcome mat. 75 just stared, his mind totally blown. After everything they'd been through, the target was right there. A whole body was strapped to the machine, tied down tight. Even the relics they'd just snagged were already hooked into it. This was so obviously a trap. Black Dog scoffed. Well, wasn't that nice of someone? They put the whole puzzle together for us? 75 carefully passed Hilda over to Jean, a huge grin on his face. Yo, thunder god, we got the relic. Let's bounce. Jean sighed but took off like a shot. The high priest was not having it. You think you can just ignore me? This is my house and I run things here. You want to leave? Then you'll have to go through me. 75 just smirked. Dude, I was actually gonna let you slide. But if you're asking for it, who am I to say no? Black Dog and the system agent moved up, totally ready to throw down. The priest had this sick grin on his face like he was genuinely curious to see what they'd try. The system agent didn't wait, he just charged. His lenses flared as he slammed into the priest, and they were locked in a seriously brutal fight. They broke apart, and the agent shot into the air, activating his flow skill. Absolute execution, he yelled. Blades of pure energy just tore through the overlord, nailing him to the spot. The agent did a mid-air spin and slammed a punch right into the priest's chest. He was totally hyped, laughing, "It's over for you." But the priest just calmly replied, "You're a system agent. You of all people should know the rules. System attacks are useless against another agent." The agent's eyes bugged out. "Wait, what? You're an agent, too." The priest's grin got wider. "Oh, honey, the party's just getting started." His hands morphed into sharp spikes and he stabbed his own fingers, letting his blood pool on the floor. "Blood Edge, I summon you!" he roared. A massive, freaky monster literally crawled out of the blood. It had a giant sword, a creepy third arm, and 2 glowing eyes on its shoulder. The agent couldn't believe what he was seeing. "No way! That's a Sealmaster skill! Just who are you?" The blood monster swung its insane blade with so much force it was terrifying. The agent barely dodged it a split second from getting totally wrecked. When the dust settled, he stumbled out, spitting blood and cursing freaking heck! He yelled to the others, "This guy's a mashup. He's an overlord, a system agent, and a Sealmaster all rolled into one." It finally clicked for 75 and he growled, "So you're the jerks who set us up in that monster-infested nightmare." The agent screamed, "Hello, a little help here. Stop gawking and do something."